Hey, it's Mike from Hillside Hives. Just wanted to do a video for my brother, and I want to do this video for other folks who are setting up beehives for the first time. And I want to show you what I'm doing a little bit different this year with my beehives. I live in town here in Woodsville, New Hampshire, and I have very little room to store a lot of my equipment for my beehives, like all my boxes and stuff. So I'm going to put everything on that I need right away, and then just limit the access to where the bees can go right away. And then I have it all basically stored right on top of the hives. Other people might have done this, and I just kind of discovered it this year and figured out that's what I'm going to do. But I just want to kind of show you my hives and my components, how I'm going to set them up this year, and then hopefully it helps somebody out there starting their new beekeeping journey. Good luck to my brother Tom, who hopefully bees go well for you your first thing I want to talk about is a little bit of height that you put on your beehive when you hook your beehives up. You know, when you put your stand down, you can use cement blocks with 4x4s, 2x4s. I use 4x4s just because it's a little sturdier if your boxes get too high, and it depends on how many you put on there. This one is just cinder blocks because I have this set up as an individual hive. It's kind of separate from my other hives, only a few feet away, but it's just in a different area than my other hives. So basically I have this nice and leveled out my stand. You want to make sure it's level because the bees will build level. You just want to make sure it's tilted down a little bit in case any water gets in there, kind of can run out, but just that's the only angle you want, is the facing down. Make sure it's not tilted out to either side. So I have my screened bottom board here with the hive entrance. So I just built this in one piece, and I have a mouse guard on it. I did have a lot of problems with mice this year. So I have a mouse guard in every hive that I have. I will leave them on in the spring until there's more for the mice to eat and live. Although once there's a lot of bees in here, I don't think it will be a problem, but I'm going to keep them on a little bit. It almost acts as an entrance reducer as well too. So I'm just going to basically use this as my entrance reducer. On my hive bottoms, there's the bottom piece that actually, this is a screened bottom because this is an internal pest management system as well. If you have mites and you dust for mites or anything like that with like powdered sugar, you can put sticky board on the bottom here and see how many mites come out. But this bottom, I can't get it out right away because I'd have to take it off. Should be that. You can see the bottom kind of slides in and out. This is a great way to control your ventilation too in your hive, and actually put that in the winter or on cooler days. I'm actually going to keep it closed for a while because it's still April here in New Hampshire. It's kind of cool. So I'm going to keep that closed so the bees can maintain heat in there. So once you get your hive stand set up, now many people do different how they put their boxes on. The lower box, whatever size you use. Some people like put all mediums. I have a hive here, actually right behind the camera, that's just all mediums. And that's just because I ran out of deep boxes and I don't want to build another one right now. So I will start the entire hive with mediums. But most people, what they do is do deep brood boxes. So this is a brood box because this is where the queen is going to lay all her eggs, and this is where your baby bees are going to hatch. For those folks who are getting nukes, your bees will come with 5 frames typically, and those 5 frames will probably have the queen in there who's already laying eggs, and it's already called brood on there. So basically the entire hive, or the entire frame itself, will be covered with like a brown, because that's the babies waiting to be hatched. Those of you who do packages, you put your, now this is an 8 frame, so I'd have 8 frames of wax in here, and I'd put my package of bees in here, and then they would fill them up. For those of you who are getting the nukes, if you have a 5 frame nuke, if you're put into an 8 frame box, you'd need just 3 more empty frames like this, or if you're a 10 frame box, you'd need 5 more. Depends on what size you do. This just happens to be an 8 frame. I like my 8 frames. I have both 8 and 10 frames. 8's just kind of are a little bit lighter, and I don't have to carry them up until they're not as heavy. So start off with your frames in here, and then what I do is, once I have my frames in here, now remember, if you're getting a nuke in, you have 5 frames that are already filled with brood. What you're going to do is when you add another box, you want to make sure there's like 80% are filled up in here, and then you add another box of frames on top of that. A package will take a while to get up there till they're 80% filled, where a nuke won't take as long because you already have 5 filled up. Once you're doing your inspection, you see about 8 frames that are filled up with brood, go ahead and put another box on. Another tip here is usually the outer ones are the ones that aren't filled, take and move one over put the empty outer one in closer to the middle and put the full one on the end of the bottom one before you put the new box on. Otherwise they won't fill that one up, because they're kind of silly that way. So I want to show you what I do is, so I'm gonna have my package in here because I'm not getting nukes, I'm getting packages. So I'll have my package in here, and then I'm just gonna put, this is an internal cover. I just kind of made an internal cover slash feeding system. So what on mine is, I have some areas that are cut out here for a pollen patty and for sugar water. I have an extra vent hole in the back, and I have an upper entrance in this. So once I close this off, the bees are isolated to just this area down here. They have an upper entrance and they have a lower entrance. So they have two areas where they can come in and out. I can put my sugar water on here. I can put my pollen patty in here. And those bees, because of the screen, cannot get up here. It's me pushing that down. So they're isolated right here. What I will do is I'll put another box on top of here so my jar fits in. And then, because I don't have places to store everything, I'll put my other boxes on top of here. Is it going to be a pain when I have to do a hive inspection? A little bit, because I have to take all that off just to get to that, even when I replace the sugar water. But I don't have anywhere to store it, and that's going to be the best solution for me. So once this is 80% filled, whether you go with a deep or medium, whatever you go with your next box, you have your wax foundation frames that you put in here. Once this is 80%, what I would do is I just do my hive inspection. All right, I need a new box of frames. I put that on top of here, and then my inner cover goes up here. And then I'll need an empty box up here so I can put my sugar water if I'm still feeding them. Let me show you what I do there. Oh, the knees. Sucks getting old, huh? I have this, it's called a vent box. So a vent box isn't really as important now in the spring as it is in the summer when it gets really hot. So you really need to ventilate the hive a little bit. So I just have this vent box. You could use any type of box. It doesn't have to be fancy, just as long as it fits up here. Drill some holes in the side, make sure they can't get up through here, and make sure critters can't get in there as well. So I just drill a small hole on each side, put some number 8 hardware cloth in there, and I'll put that right up here. The only thing about this vent box that I have to cover is, like, there's an upper entrance here. I'll have to cover that. One of the things is, if I'm not feeding these bees and I don't need this, I could always just put the vent box on here, and then they would have an upper entrance, and they can't get up here because of the hardware cloth. I just have these fancy little cardboard, or I'm sorry, plywood cutouts too, so if I'm not using those boxes for the food or the sugar water, I can just cover those. And that helps me control the ventilation within the box too. Again, I keep all the boxes I'm going to use right on this hive. And you know, and I still, in this hive, I'm missing I'll probably do another deep. So I'll put another deep on here, but everything I'm going to need for the season is going to be on here. Then I have these garden roofs because they're nice and heavy, and I just build them right in my shop here. That way I don't have to worry about the wind blowing them off. There's also, this is your standard roof that comes with this. If you have a roof like this, these are great too. They work really well. Just put a brick or something on top of it so the wind can't blow it off. I had a friend who lost an entire hive because the roof blew off and her bees got wet and died. So. If you don't have the inner feeder cover, you can have an entrance feeder. All you would do is you can just see them that you just buy with the bottle out here. They're great to get started. I use them sometimes too, but I will use, it also encourages robbing. So if you have an area where there's no nectar, and if you entrance feed, you're encouraging other bees to come and go into the hive too, so you can have some fights and some problems there. So, but they're still good to use. I think that's it. The other thing I do is secure this whole thing down, which I haven't done yet because I get those dog, it's like where a dog leash, you can put a dog outside and tie it outside. We have a store here where I can get them really cheap, they're only $2 a piece, but you can't get them at Home Depot. There's just like a long screwy thing with that, an area on top where you can put the leash. But what I do is I just use one of those straps, put over that and tighten it down, just in case you get a strong windstorm, it doesn't pull it over. I think that's it. All right, so I hope you enjoyed it. I hope it helped somebody. If you have any questions, just let me know. Thanks.